Now that we have the running boards built for Project Pilehouse, we're on to one of the most anticipated parts of the project, chopping the top. Now, chopping or lowering the top on a custom classic truck or car isn't a new modification, but it is one that takes proper preparation to make sure that the project goes as smooth as possible. Now, I've spent countless hours with painter's tape, a marker, and a tape measure, eyeballing the truck to see how drastic of a chop I really wanted. I started the process by removing the paint with the Eastwood stripping disc, and then once we figured out we wanted a moderate 3-inch chop, we moved on and laid some chalk and tape lines to exactly where we're going to be cutting. Later in this episode, we'll show you how to make the necessary modifications to fit the lid back down into its new lower home. But before I start making any sparks, we need to add some bracing to the inside of the cab to reduce any flexing when the top is off of the cab. I'm going to be using the Eastwood MIG 175 and some round bar tubing to make the necessary reinforcements. So let's get this project started. With all the braces in place and the cut lines marked, we're ready to start. There's a lot of tools that you can use to actually chop the top on a vehicle, whether it's a reciprocating saw, an angle grinder, a pneumatic body saw, or even a plasma cutter. They all do the job, but in the end it comes down to personal preference. I'm going to keep it pretty basic and use an angle grinder with a cutoff disc and a reciprocating saw to cut the A-pillars in the back of the door jambs. I'm going to make the first cut on the top line so I can make the second one on the truck, rather than trying to cut the roof while it's laying on the ground. Once we have everything cut off that we need to, we can set the top back down and show you where we're at. Okay, enough talking, let's get to cutting. Now that we got the top fitted back on the truck, you can see what our first problem is. We got this gap right here. Now that's because we haven't cut anything out of the A-pillar yet, making the front end of the cab sitting way too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just about how much here is off the A-pillar, and that should get us pretty close to level how it was from the factory. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to tack weld some braces around the back of the cab, and then we'll see where we are from there. Okay, now that we have the A-pillars cut, we closed up the gap that we talked about earlier. We also have the height and the angle of the roof about where I want it. So I went ahead and tacked some brackets on the back side of the cab and also laid a few welds in between the seams just to get everything sturdy again. Now you can see what the next problem that we're coming across is the A-pillars here. They don't line up. There's a few different ways that you can tackle this. One of them being that you can put relief cuts in the top or the bottom of the pillars and change the angle of the pillar. This causes a lot of other modifications, including reworking the door jamb, which I'm not really too interested in doing. The way I'm going to do it is by splitting the roof in half right about here, moving the front portion forward so that the A-pillars line back up and the angles are about the same as they were from the factory. Check out the next installment of the video where we're going to show you how we connect everything back together and start making it look like a truck again.